Alright, here we are, Madden 21 franchise, year 2, week 4 overview from First Take. Let's go on. Biggest highlight of this is that we have a new rule change in the league. As you see, the Rule 13 says you cannot spam the same plays over and over. I believe this rule is set in place because of the multiple complaints about cheese in the league. One complaint about the Giants and another complaint about the Chargers. Overall, I think it's a good look for the league. Diversity of plays. It will increase the competition level. This was a rule that was in place last year. It wasn't very effective at doing this job. I feel like, the issue with this, the interpretation, very loose wording here. I could see if there's ever a suspension, it could be very controversial in the league. But overall, I think it's a great rule. And moving on here, of course, the power rankings just dropped. Let's go ahead and look at these teams individually. At the bottom of the leaderboard, we have the Kansas City Chiefs, which is very surprising. They were at once ranked number 1 last season, and they were very strong. They finished with a record of 11-5. Overall, they've just been very inactive. They're 0-2 versus users. They did play to the Bills, and they got demolished due to Mr. Patrick Mahomes' poor performance. And they had a 4-0 to the Chargers. But I expect this team to bounce back. They're very talented. I cannot see this team missing the playoffs with this much talent. Overall, even though they're ranked dead last, I see them as a lot of potential. Moving on, here we have the Cowboys, the usual suspects here. Nothing new for them to be at the bottom of the rankings. They are 1-2 this season and 0-2 versus the users with losses to the Bucks and Panthers. Both of these losses here were 4-0 as they've been inactive. As you see here, Mr. Southside has to go to the dentist before every game, and he cannot play, sadly. Moving on, the New York Jets. With the New York Jets, I think, they got a new quarterback. They were tanking all last year, talking about this is their year. And, Trevor Lawrence really hasn't he's been performing well, but the rest of his team really ain't there for them. He lost to the Texans and Bucks. That Bucks was a very close game. However, the Jets did fold that one. They got a new quarterback, same report results. And, as we see here, I think Trevor Lawrence wants to go back to Clemson. I'm not sure how the NCAA will feel about that. But he wants to go home. And I think the biggest reason for this is that, NC Mud Hens, he needs a new offensive coordinator. They run slants or verticals about their entire game plan, or they run HB dive. Can't forget that. And they need more diversity in their playbook. I think Rule 13 should benefit them, honestly. Moving on here, we have the Dolphins. They're a new user to the league. They've yet to play a user, and we know absolutely nothing about this guy, so I will not waste any more time on him. Only thing we know is that he's 1-2. I believe he only did play one game. He just joined the league. Very interesting. Next up, we have the Steelers. He's 1-2 this season with his only user game being a loss to the Packers. And he traded for Russell Wilson. A lot of people thought this was going to be his saving grace, but as you see, Russell Wilson is a bottom 4 QB in QBR this season with only a 61.2. Age might be catching up to him at this point. However, I think it's more of the weapons on the offensive end. His team really hasn't looked like they've been, ready to play. He's a nice guy, though. I like him. I like Skinny. He's pretty cool. Moving on here, we have the Houston Texans, and we cannot begin to describe this season with the Houston Texans. It's just been terrible all around. They've played all three of the games were users. They did beat the second to last place Jets. However, they lost to the Cardinals and Patriots. And let's just talk about this general manager. This general manager might be the worst GM in all of sports. How the hell do you manage to acquire Lamar Jackson, Russell Wilson, Deshaun Watson, and Carson Wentz, and you end up with fucking Justin Fields? This bum ass threw a pick to Clemson last year. We ain't forget about that. He's just terrible. They fired Bill O'Brien mid-season, which is a step in the right direction. But they hired a new spread offense coach from a Clemson University, Dabo Swinney, and that dude fucking sucks too. Texans they've had so much talent on the roster. The fact that it comes down like this is just pathetic. Honestly, I place all the blame on the general manager for just ruining up one of the best situations in the league. Moving on, we have the Colts. They're a pretty new team as well. However, they are 0-2 against users, except the only thing about that is they play the Patriots and Rams, two very good teams there. So it's really hard to gauge their talent so far. So I think these next 4 weeks will be very important to see where they land in the scope of things. Moving on, we have the Giants. Now the Giants did get embarrassed in Super Bowl 55, as we all remember. Score was 49-14. Bills went for it, and the Giants head coach left the arena. Unprecedented event. We didn't know what to do at that point. Well, we got through it. Currently, he's 2-1. He's only played one user, and that was a loss to the Chargers. And that, honestly, he was a main advocate for Rule 13 due to that game against the Chargers, where he claimed that he only ran a QB draw and option, which is pretty hypocritical if you ask me. He ran 0-1 trap very heavily and throughout most of his playoff run. And I just think it's hypocritical to complain about someone else running the ball. And let's also move in. There's been a new issue saying he has had 17 sacks this season in only 3 games. It could be calls for cheating. He's trying to run up the stats. We'd hate to see a Rule 11 violation by this Giants team, but they're known for cheating. It would be nothing new for them. Moving on, we have the Philadelphia Eagles. So the Eagles last season were ran by Bama Warrior, but he has been deployed to the U.S. military. So we now have Primetime taking over this team. He has not played a user yet. However, he is 3-0. And somehow he's $57 million over the cap room. I have no clue what kind of trades this man has made to get to this point, but he is unable to make any more, very clearly. He has Lamar Jackson, which, he could be very big for this team. But overall, when you're this high over the cap, it's a must-win year. And that's all I have to say for the Eagles. And, they're 3-0 at this point, so that's good for them. But they have to win with all that cap they're spending. This owner is probably pissed at his GM right now. He's spending way too much money. Moving on, we have the 3-1 Panthers. They have played 2 users this game, which one was the forced one to the Cowboys, and a not too bad loss to the Bills. And you can't talk about this Panthers team without bringing up Teddy Bridgewater. Teddy Bridgewater has had a great year so far, 869 yards with a 71% completion percentage and a 12-6 TD to interception ratio, which might not sound that great, but this year, like every damn quarterback is throwing more picks and touchdowns, so we're very proud of him. His 1,200 MVP odds, if I were you, if I was a betting man, I'd take those odds. Those are very good for a young quarterback like himself, and I can only see great things happening for them. Moving on, we have the Cheeseheads here, the 6-0 Packers. They joined late last year, and they made the playoffs. However, they did get a first-round exit, and I'm sure they're looking for revenge. As you see, they did beat the Steelers this year, which is a good sign for them. Overall, I think that their success has largely been due to the quarterback, Aaron Rodgers, who is also a front runner for the MVP trophy. He's accumulated 1,250 yards with a 78 completion percentage with a 14-3 TD to INT ratio. He's the front runner here with plus 350 odds, and unless he gets hurt, I'm very certain that he will win this award. He's just played great all year long so far, and I believe he will win. Moving on, we have the 3-0 Rams at number 5. They currently are 1-0 versus users where they beat the Colts, and they joined the league late last season as well, and they've been looking very good. I don't believe they've folded a game since joining this league. And by yardage allowed, they are a top 3 defense in the NFL. And I could say this is a dark horse for a Super Bowl contender. The quarterback, their offense really has not been there so far, but once they get that clicking, this defense led by Aaron Donald out here and Jalen Ramsey would look very scary for any team in the playoffs. And let's bring them up. The reigning Super Bowl champion Buffalo Bills. They are currently 3-1 this season. They beat the Chiefs and the Panthers. However, they did drop a game to the Patriots. They are coming off a Super Bowl victory here. But he keeps bitching that he's ranked number 4, which I think is very fair. You have a loss on the record, and he's 4th place. I think that's very good. The reason for this team's success so far has been the turnover differential. As you see, a positive 10. They forced 17 turnovers this season, only giving away 7. That's far and away number 1 in the league. Next to the Patriots at only a +4. They're early Super Bowl favorites, obviously. They've won the last 3 Super Bowls. And we have to go all the way back to Madden 20, year 1, where a team not head coached by this East Side has won a Super Bowl, and that was, of course, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Moving on here, we have number three, the 3-0 Cardinals. The Cardinals will play one user this season. However, they did pick up the win against the Texans. And they have a history of having, pretty strong regular seasons but folding in the playoffs. So we'll see how that takes them. They probably want to get rid of that, that trend and finally be able to expand the success to the playoffs. But there have been a lot of rumors going around about quarterback Kyler Murray being on the trade block. We've heard names such as Patrick Mahomes possibly with the struggling Chiefs, or DeAndre Francois, being swapped for Kyler Murray. Francois, he's just had a god awful year, and I think anything to get him out of Tampa Bay will serve him well. And he's someone that bitches when he's not game of the week, and I think this is for clout reasons. He definitely needs the clout to stay relevant. Um, that's all I have to say about the Cardinals. We're moving on here. The second place Chargers, how they have beaten the Giants and the Chiefs this season. Not the strongest competition. However, they did get it done. This new offense is an RPO based around Justin Herbert, and it's apparently been very effective. We spoke to the Giants coach post game, and we actually saw him tearing up in the press conference, saying, I can't stop it. I can't stop the quarterback run." So we'll see how that works out for him. And he's honestly my personal favorite coach in the league. He does his job, doesn't bitch at all, unlike some others in the league. Great guy, Mr. McWetball. Looking forward to seeing this man in the Super Bowl one day. And finally, we have the 4-0 New England Patriots. Currently, they are 3-0 versus users this season as they have beaten the Colts, Texans, and Bills. Very strong resume there. Last year's playoffs, they got upset to the Texans in a game which Patriots really just didn't look like themselves. However, they are the current Super Bowl favorites, and I think a big reason for that is that in the past two seasons, they are 2-1 versus the Bills. One of the only teams in the league with a positive record versus this just unstoppable Bills team, and I think that bodes well for him going to the Super Bowl. And Cam Newton has really looked like an MVP caliber quarterback. He's looking just like he did back in his Carolina Panthers days. It's like he did a second win, some would say. Overall, I think this New England team is looking very strong, and they are my current Super Bowl favorites. Let's get a quick recap here. Overall, biggest changes were the rule change that was made. No spamming plays. We'll see who that hurts and who that helps in the upcoming weeks. They have the Patriots Super Bowl favorites. However, the Bills are still coming back very strong. I would not overlook this team. When you have a head coach that has 3 straight Super Bowls, there's just no way you can overlook them. And let's also go back to the Buccaneers. DeAndre Francois on the hot seat. He's just been a turnover magnet for this team. Buccaneers are dead last in the league in turnover differential, and it's honestly on the quarterback play entirely. Also, we have the Texans GM, who is allegedly on crack because, he did trade 4 franchise quarterback for Justin Fields and got a new head coach to work around him. I'm not sure who we think Justin Fields is, but he's just an average quarterback. He's not a franchise QB where you can do this. Overall, terrible decision making by the GM. And finally, the Chiefs also looking terrible. They fucking suck. They're 0-3, but they might bounce back. They have some good talent over there. So that is all for this episode of First Take.